guess it didn't register the first one. All right, so we should be live. All right, so hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of WordCast. This is WordCast number 38. Lots of big news, AMD news and stuff to talk about. This is a very special episode overall though, and I actually have a unboxing of a couple of interesting things for you guys. You might kind of barely be able to see one of them in frame down there. We'll be moving the camera a little bit so that you guys can see exactly what that is when I unbox that. And we have one more special unboxing, which you probably know about because of the title. So anyway, I'm Ethan. This is
Daniel.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about tech news for a couple of hours here. But actually, I wanted to address one thing in specific first. So a really good friend of mine a couple of days ago, I don't know the exact day that it happened, but a good friend of mine, his name is Chris, he's been around for a long time, he comes to a lot of the LAN parties and stuff, was recently hit by a drunk driver, and close friend of mine, and he was in the ICU until Thursday, I believe, is when he got out. And so I just wanted to tell everybody here that's watching right now that unfortunately, you know, he's injured pretty bad, and so he has a GoFundMe that's running right now below, and so any support that you guys could potentially throw over there, I'll be making a dedicated video about it with some more detail too, but anything that you guys can, just the GoFundMe link, Mirko is posting it, as well as it's in the description of this video. There's also a news article about it, so you know that it's completely legit in case any of you weren't sure. But yeah, he's recovering, and just any money that could be raised for him is a huge help. So yeah, I definitely would appreciate anybody that could throw a little bit of money in his direction, or especially share it. It's probably the most important thing, just getting it around to people. Maybe if you can't afford it, at least share it on social media so that people that could afford it can help.
Yeah.
He's living on his own, and everything that I'm saying right now is things that was in the news. I'm not going to give away anything personal that I know about him, but on the news they also talked about, so he lost his father back in May, and I was there for him when that happened. But yeah, so it's just been a really tough year for him, and he's been living on his own, making the house payments and stuff. But his job requires him to you know, be able to be active and do things, and so it's going to be tough for him to work if he even can for quite a while.
Yeah.
So anything that can help him out for a while would be greatly appreciated. So thank you anybody that is willing to do that. We really appreciate that. But we'll go ahead and jump straight into the episode. So again, it is a very, very important episode here. So we got a couple of pretty impressive unboxings coming up. Lots of AMD news that'll be coming out here pretty soon, as well as some other general tech news and stuff like that.
Yeah, some big allegations against Newegg.
Yes, allegations against Newegg, because Newegg's getting sued.
Yeah.
Big time, in case you guys didn't hear. It's been everywhere, so you probably heard. But yeah, and then again, a pretty good pile of AMD news. I was actually surprised how much piled up there. And then we're going to kind of end it off with some Android stuff. Sorry, my document's glitching out for some reason. Some Android stuff and some other interesting things. I don't know what's going on. It's like popping the document up, like it's moving it on its own and then putting like sections of it in weird places. Don't know what's going on here. But anyway, so is there anything you want to talk about while I get the camera adjusted?
Not really. Not
really. Okay, well, we're going to be very immature because we only have one camera. I'm going to go move the camera angle so you guys can see that thing down there. And I'm going to zoom out, and you guys will get to see exactly what it is. And I've got my knife to open it up, of course.
Be careful. Be careful with knives.
Careful with knives, kids.
Yes.
Don't hurt yourself. Don't cut yourself when you're unboxing things, etc. Okay, so I'm going to walk over here. And I'm going to yell so you guys can hear me. And you guys are going to be like, whoa, when I zoom out, because you're going to see everything. Explain where we are right now, by the way.
We are in Ethan's basement, just in a different part of it.
Give a little more detail.
There's a TV.
There's a TV there,
and this is the switch that he doesn't play. In fact, it's so much that he doesn't play it that it's still in the case, even though the dock is right here.
Yep, basically.
Other than that, there's not really much more that you need to know. It's just off to the side of his computer.
Yep, yep.
And here's the door to his bed.
Yes. Okay, guys, so I know you can see the cable that I have running here for the HDMI and everything. This is just temporary. I'll be zooming back in to do the other unboxing, but this is so big. So this is my new PC case. I'm actually quite excited for this. Here, let me flip this over so I can see myself. So I'm actually quite excited for this big guy here. Just to give you an idea of how big this is. I'm about 5'8". I'm on my knees right now, obviously, but It's a big case. I owned one of these for about 3 days and returned it because I changed my build plans. That was about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that, maybe a little more. And then I liked it enough, though, that now that I'm planning a new build, I went ahead and ordered it. So now you guys know it's official that a new, very special build is coming. I'll give more details on that in a moment. So I'm going to be unboxing this live on camera here so you guys can see it. It is massive. There's not a lot of foam padding here, so it is not much smaller than this, but I'm going to go ahead and get straight into that. And this is the Snow Edition, which is the white edition of it. So you guys may have seen this case before. It's a pretty unique case. It was designed by Thermaltake along with Watermod France, and it's actually pretty impressive because it's probably the only unique product that Thermaltake makes. Ooh. I keep looking at the camera, realizing the mic's over there.
Yeah.
This is tough. This is tough. All right. Getting it open. Ugh. We know it's not the best view, guys, but this is the space we had to do it. Are we getting any comments right now?
No.
No?
I just changed the mic so it's recording from the back too.
I thought I had it omnidirectional.
Huh? I'm pretty sure you had it just for the front. I don't know.
Was it in the... Was it? Did you do 2 clicks or 1 click? Because 2 clicks over is omni. We might want to do omni.
Huh?
Let's just front
The
it.
back is fine.
You sure? Okay, anyway.
Yeah, you had it just on the front.
Okay, opening this up. This is a big case. It's hard to open, so I might have to like flip this over or something here. Because it's going to be hard to actually just slide it out. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do a flip here in our
Do a flip!
limited space. Yes, do a flip. You're checking the YouTube comment stream too?
Yeah.
Cool.
Mirko's gonna ask a crypto mining question.
Oh, I'm interested in that. Ugh. This is hard to open. I had forgotten that was the one problem I had with this case. Really hard to get out of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of big cases are.
I mean, but especially this one, because there's nothing to grab onto.
Yeah.
A lot of cases you can grab onto something. Now I have to figure out how to get this over the camera without hitting it. That'll be fun.
Lift. Do you even lift, bro?
Right, except I'm hitting the ceiling.
Yeah, but the ceiling doesn't matter.
True. Alright, drop the box. Okay. Woo! That is statically charged. Ow! That actually kind of hurt. Alright, so gonna go ahead and take off. What?
I was watching it on stream.
Oh yeah? Just me freaking out a little?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember when I had this case, I was blown away by how big it was, and then I forgot how big it was. Until now. Now I have it again. Now I remember how big it is.
How big is it?
It's pretty big.
Oh.
I mean, it's certainly one of the biggest cases on the market. There's a few that go past it, like some of the stuff from Case Labs, and even some of the stuff from Thermaltake that was a copy of Case Labs' design, so that's why it's that big. But something like the SMA8 from Case Labs is a little bit taller. There's also the dual wide Magnum cases. Some of those are bigger, especially if you get the pedestal. There's also a few cases from Mountain Mods that are bigger, but the majority of cases aren't quite this big. So, now the one complaint I had about this case in the time that I had it was it's not necessarily the most space efficient. It's designed to show off your build, but it's not necessarily a super space efficient design. And by that I mean, you know, I'll be doing a full review of it obviously, but the front section here is designed to show off all your water cooling gear. Mm-hmm. So you've got this much space here, this glass panel here. Your motherboard mounts here. So this back half of the case is where the majority of your stuff goes, other than your motherboard and GPUs and stuff go in this section. But as you can see, most cases aren't quite that deep when it comes to the motherboard where it's mounted. So there's a little bit of spacing efficiency there, but it gives a lot of room to run custom water loop tubing. And I will be doing a custom loop in this, probably not till January, February, depending on when I can do some of the other upgrades, because this is all starting on a quality-based platform. Again, more on that in a little bit.
Hey Ethan, question for you real quick.
What's the question?
Do you know how much power a R9 380X consumes?
R9 380X,
Yeah.
Just the GPU or whole system?
Just the
load?
GPU.
Just the GPU, you're probably looking at, if you're not overclocked, like 180 watts. Maybe a little less than that probably. Maybe like 150.
Okay, in that case, to answer Mirko's question, because he was asking if it's profitable to mine, it would be profitable. However, it wouldn't be very profitable. Let's say it's a 190 watts.
Yeah.
You're looking at not even counting the power consumption of the rest of the system, since he's talking about potentially doing multi-GPUs. Each graphics card would probably get you roughly $8 to $8.30 a month.
Yeah, when it comes to Mirko, when it comes to cryptocurrency mining, you don't want to mine it right now. If you want to make money, it's all about trading.
Yeah.
It's become like the stock market.
There is, if you ever want to know about profitability for mining itself, just look up, or just go to cryptocompare.com/mining, or just Google whatever the currency is that you want to mine and profitability calculator, and then just input the information. Cost per kilowatt hour in Oregon is 12 cents. Power consumption and hash power just depend on the GPU that you're looking at, but it will give you all of the exact numbers.
Oh, right.
As of right now, no.
They include very little documentation, but I'm okay with that because they kind of expect you to know what you're doing if you're buying such an enthusiast case. So, boom, throw those up there. So it's got 3 5mm thick tempered glass panels. You've got the one on the front here, you've got one on either side. And then the rest of it is made out of plastic along with metal. So like this top piece is plastic here. That's because this whole top section comes off because the motherboard actually mounts in a very unique way. So the motherboard mounts inside here, and then your cables and everything actually output through the top and out through the back here, rather than through like the side or the rear or something like that. They come out through the top and through this plastic cover. So you can remove the plastic cover to help you route those cables. Now, interestingly enough, there's actually switches to drop, and I won't do too much detail because I'm doing a dedicated review on this, of course, guys, but I figured a live unboxing was well-deserved. So there's a dedicated push button that you push in here that releases these panels, and then these swing out back here. Let me turn it at a better angle so you guys can see that. And then you just pull up on it, and it comes out. Now, they're all dust filtered, which is cool, and this supports, the side here, each side supports up to a 560mm radiator. That is a quad 140mm setup. So my setup when I do radiators is very likely going to be a 560 and a 360, so a quad 140 and a triple 120 setup is my current plan. But like I said, the water cooling is coming later, so we'll see if any of that changes.
Comment from Felipe. He says it looks like a mini fridge. I
yeah,
agree.
Everybody says it looks like a mini fridge or like a fish tank, but you know...
Man, that would be a cool fish tank.
It would be. I love a big box case like this because there's just so much room to do everything you could need to do. So I like this design and this style.
At least you're not going to have a small motherboard in it.
I'm not going to have a small system in it at all. Yeah. No, it's going to be pretty massive. Again, more detail on that later. The majority of this case is not riveted, but actually put together with screws, which is super cool. You can take apart a lot of the stuff in it, including some of the cable management sections behind or under the motherboard that if you want to route tubes or something like that, it gives you a little bit more space there. I'll be taking off the panels here in just a minute, and then that's pretty much all I'm going to be going over is the back and one of the panels on the side here. You can see the 560mm setup there. And at the top, too, at the front, I don't know if you guys noticed, it does have 2 sets of USB 3.1 or 3.0 ports rather than just one set. So that's nice to see on larger cases. I just feel like I.O. is a little bit lacking on some larger cases. So I'll try and give you guys a good viewpoint here. I don't know if these are true thumb screws, since they're probably in too tight for me to undo with my thumb. Let's see, I have a knife here. Will this work? I have no idea. I don't know if it's thin enough. Let's try. I don't want to scratch this beauty. If I can just get it a little bit. I'm going to have to grab a screwdriver. Daniel, talk about something.
Yeah, Mirko, going back to your thing, though, yeah, if you could get them to set that all up and you could actually use all 11, I mean, that would, if at that point, if you're not paying for electricity, then you'd be looking at a few $100 a month. So that would be worth it.
All right. So, going to go ahead and unscrew these real quick. Show you guys the inside. There's also a dust filter for the dual 120 or dual 140 setup that you can do in the back here. Which is cool. So that's mostly going to be not for like a radiator, although I suppose you could, depending on how thick your other radiators were, fit another rad there. But realistically, that's more so designed to either bring fresh air in for the radiators to exhaust, or have the radiators bring fresh air in and these exhaust it. Either way, your radiators are in an isolated chamber, so you don't have to worry about the heat output of like the motherboard and other stuff from the front affecting it, so you don't have like hot air from the inside of a case being blown through a radiator and out, because that obviously is going to affect your cooling performance. Now, this is another complaint I have about Thermaltake actually. Whenever I get their cases, their thumb screws cannot be thumbed out by like any means at all. It requires like some serious effort from a screwdriver. And that's the thing, is like, why do they call them thumb screws if I can't open them with my thumb?
Are those the thumb screws that you can't remove all the way?
I don't remember. Well, I just stabbed it, but I did not damage it. Woo!
Good job.
Thank you. It looks like there's no damage on it from shipping, which is good too. But yeah, no, I don't remember. We'll see here in a second.
Okay, because I prefer those thumb screws.
Oh yeah, I do too. But I have also like 7 billion thumb screws, so if I ever lose one, it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yep, they are captive thumb screws.
Dope.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I unscrew them almost all the way. All right. So again, dust filter too here, which is nice. They're all magnetic dust filters. That's actually something I really like about this case, is cleaning the dust filters is easy. Dust filters are commonly a huge pain in the butt. The only one that's a little bit of a pain is the magnetic one for the power supply at the bottom. All right. So taking that panel out here, leaned against the table. How many viewers do we have right now, by the way? I'm curious. You might have seen it live.
5.
Dope. Okay, so anyway.
And one on Twitch besides me.
Cool. Okay, so you've got your front panel headers and everything here. They're all hanging in a nice cable set. But as you can see, the back is basically for everything other than your motherboard and your CPU, or your motherboard and the things that connect directly to the board, as well as you can also fit a couple hard drives kind of up front, but you access them from the back, or sorry, from the front. So those are the only other things. So anyway, down here, up here, sorry, starting with the top. So you've got your hard drive cages here. What's cool about these is if I take off this side panel here, it's a little bit stuck on the plastic because I'm not taking the plastic covers off of my glass panels quite yet. But right here, you've got your drive cages for 3.5 millimeters. You slide them out from this side, which is cool, easier to access. You don't have to take off the back panel. So it's just a little push button there. Extra USB extension cables and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into details of that either, because again, that'll all be in the full review of this case. So anyway, pretty cool, pretty simple setup. So you have 4 hard drives here. I do feel like they could have done a little bit better job with how many hard drives they can fit in like a single slot section up here, but oh well, it's not a big deal. So anyway, then you also can you have the extra bracket here for the radiator, so you can put that up here so that you can fit up to a 560 millimeter radiator there, or anything smaller than that. If you don't do that, then you can fit down in this bottom section. I think it's up to a 360 on a single one of these mounting mechanisms, but it'll stick up a little bit, so keep that in mind, as these aren't quite the size of a 360 millimeter. Now you've also got your power supply mount here, so you have room for a pretty long power supply before it has a chance of potentially hitting something up there, because in the front you actually can go ahead and put a 5¼ inch bay, like Blu-ray drive or whatever, and then here these are accessed from the front, but you have 2 more drive cages in there. So those drive cages are the ones that I'm going to be populating myself, because the rest of my storage that I use for the videos, the 4K footage that we film here and everything, all goes onto a server that I have running this network-based instead of doing it locally. So just for games and other stuff like that, I'll have a couple of 4 terabyte hard drives thrown in there. Now, again, lots of extra space, and that's really what this is all about. Now, you've also got a 140 millimeter fan up here that can be used for like exhaust or something. There's another one on the other side for the upper chamber. I'm not going to take off this top panel right now, but like I said, you've got these large holes that all of your cables route through for plugging in your GPUs and stuff like that. And there's enough space, last time I remember using it, there's enough space in there to fit the cables angled and stuff. So they did actually think of that, so that even if you have larger connectors, you should still be able to fit them in there fairly well. But again, it's all about extra space. You just have so much space in here. In fact, you can fit 2, not push-pull, but yes, 2 push-pull 80 millimeter radiators in here, because you actually, on the outside here is where you mount the fan, is on the other side of this bracket. So where my hand is right here, this part of the bracket is where the radiator goes. So you got this much space for a radiator and another fan potentially if you're wanting to do that. And then the power supply goes here, which gives you room for cable management, or your hard drive cage is up here, and more space if you wanted to put fan controllers, LED controllers, liquid tubing and stuff like that you may need to run, or obviously you'll need to run back there for the radiators. And your pumps and everything actually go in the front section of the case, though, including your reservoir. So this is just for radiators, storage, power supply, easy cable management. Now these grommets down here, there's actually a bottom plate that you can take out so that you have more room to route tubes through there instead of using the grommets. These grommets are permanently fixed though onto the motherboard platform, so these three will always be here, but you're gonna have to run cables to your motherboard, so obviously it makes sense. All right, I'm gonna put this back on really quick for you guys, and then we'll go ahead and do the front a little bit, and then unbox one other item. Does not want to close on me. There we go. One thing I did learn when I had this case for the first time. Is anybody complaining about hearing me, by the way, or am I fine? I'm assuming Mirko would be complaining if they couldn't hear me.
Huh?
Is anybody complaining about not being able to hear me?
No.
Okay, good.
Just, Mirko's saying that you're reviewing the case, haha, you said you wouldn't.
No, I'm not reviewing this. There is way too much
Mirko
to talk
then
about
said,
here.
might as well cut a clip off the stream and post it on YouTube called Thermal Take Case Review.
Thanks, Mirko. Appreciate it, buddy.
I know I do.
Hate you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hey, I'm adding stuff to the doc about Hammer.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
New news?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Stuff from yesterday?
Yes. So.
That magically came up right after Hammer news?
Yep. All right. So, do a quick thing in the front, and then we're going to jump into a little bit more special unboxing. So be really careful, guys, when you're taking off tempered glass panels, please, because breaking them is not fun. It's not easy to clean up, so just don't do it. You got to get a good hold and know what you're doing here. You always hold the panel. You never let go of the panel while you're unscrewing it. Even ones that have a panel that like supposed to hold on or whatever, which some of them do and do a good job of that. You just never trust it. You don't want to have to clean this stuff up because it shatters.
Shattering is fun.
Shattering is fun. Oh. Oh, nice. There's a spider over there.
Where?
Now.
Huh?
A spider on the floor.
Where?
I killed it.
Oh. I was gonna eat it.
I know you were gonna eat it, but I'm not gonna let you. Alright.
Ethan's starving me. He's actually locks me in this room over here.
Yeah, right.
I don't get to leave except on Wednesdays. I get a little bit of light. Because this room has no windows.
So jumping down into here, so your pump and reservoir mounts go down in the bottom, and you can have massive reservoirs in here, obviously. You've got space for everything because of just how deep this is. You've got SSD mount here, which can mount on this side location or back in there. The SSD, though, the extra drive cages you have to contact Thermaltake for. They don't sell the parts separately. Another disadvantage with going with them over some of the other companies out there that have support for the parts, and you just go purchase the parts from their website or whatever. Then you have to contact generally if you want the parts. But then here you've got a couple of drive cages, like I said, and you've got another SSD mount on that side. So you can do up to 4 SSDs in the front, but only 2 out of box, and then 2 hard drives in the front. And then down here's where your 3.5 or 5.25 inch bay goes. Then your motherboard goes up here. Obviously, you've got another 140 millimeter fan there to do some exhaust. Across here, you can also mount a fan here that does not come with, but I'd recommend getting it. Pulls some air from the back chamber as well as below the case up into this upper section here so that you actually have some airflow going across your VRMs and stuff like that. But that is it for that, so I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this really quick, and then we are going to jump into one other unboxing, and then we're going to jump into some major news topics. You know what would be great is if I broke this panel on live stream.
That would be great. I feel like every single person watching would love it.
I bet, actually. Be the most watched WordCast ever.
10 views.
That is not the case, alright? We get like 30 after the fact.
I know.
Because we are that cool.
No, it's because we upload late.
What are you talking about? We're never late.
Kevin's playing Destiny
Okay.
while he watches.
Everybody's playing Destiny, and
Except
you know,
you.
I'm gonna get it soon.
Not soon enough.
I just spent a lot of money on computer parts. I'm
know.
gonna get Destiny like when I get paid. Alright, so that's reassembled.
WordCast changes to Boxcast.
Who said that? Mirko,
Mirko?
I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Alright, so I gotta get this out of the way without, killing anything or anybody. Let's see here.
Or you could just leave it there.
That is 100% correct, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Reframing! Woo! How do you like it, Daniel? A little higher? There? How do you like that?
Good.
Good. Alright, good. Cool. So I'm coming back into frame now, guys.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Run!
Run! Everything's ruined! All right.
Now for the second unboxing.
Now for the second unboxing, and in a lot of ways the more exciting of them, even though I'm a case whore, to show you guys that I'm doing a new build, and that I'm dedicated to doing said new build, and that it's actually going to happen. I bought something, right?
You did?
I bought something. So,
Cardboard
down here,
box.
I have a cardboard box from Amazon. I blanked out my address. Don't even try. So, anyway.
It wasn't even your address to begin with.
Shh! That's exactly the point. So, anyway, this right here is a special package that's sitting behind my laptop that you can hardly see. But once I open it, you'll be able to see.
Once you open it, then he'll be able to actually open it.
True that. Did I scare you with the knife?
No.
Are you scared of knives, Daniel?
No.
Yeah, you are.
I work downtown.
Good point.
We're around people with knives all the time.
All right, so this is special. This is for my new build. It's the start of something special, the centerpiece of this channel. So this is packaged quite well. Look at that. They use plenty of foam. They use plenty of foam. And then, you know, it's in its own foam, too. Yes, guys, what you see in my hand right here, or what you don't see because it's hiding behind things, is Threadripper 1950. Sorry, is Threadripper 1950X. I don't think they could, you know, the mic. I was blocking it with this.
By the way.
What? What'd you break?
There we go.
Oh, okay.
I was just putting it back into
okay.
For better quality.
Yeah. So this here is a 16-core, 32-thread CPU that I'm going to hopefully overclock to 4 to 4.2 gigahertz. It can hit 4, no problem, but it's 3.4 gigahertz base. This is going to help me with my video production. It's going to be going in that main rig that's also going to be my gaming rig. I can't believe how big this box is. I knew it was big, but...
Didn't you watch any unboxings?
I've watched so many unboxings, but you don't get a perspective until you see it. Do you want to hold it? Do you want to hold a $1,000 CPU?
Sure. I'm not really holding the CPU. I'm holding the box with
Shh, it's okay. It's the CPU.
It's literally bigger than my head. This should be your Halloween costume.
You know, that's not a bad idea at all, actually.
Yeah, just make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
and then make a helmet.
And then yeah, I like it. So yeah, this
Mirko
here
said
is.
it's disgusting and called it thread shitter.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to beat up Mirko soon, man.
Well, yeah, he's an Intel fanboy.
He's an Intel fanboy. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, 1950X, 16 cores. I'm incredibly excited, but we're gonna open it and show you a little bit more what it's like.
Yeah, you get to see a processor.
You get to see a processor, guys. What do you expect? You know. Rip here, it says. So we're supposed to rip it.
Threadripper.
I think that's the point.
So you also have to twist and unlock the back.
Huh?
Twist and unlock the back.
Well, yeah, you have to do that too.
Yeah.
But you have to take off this first.
Prove it.
I'm pretty sure.
Just
I've never opened a Threadripper, so I'm just going to do it. It says rip here, so I'm ripping threads right now is what I'm doing.
No, you're ripping cardboard.
Yeah, see? And then you have to...
Only because his work has a discount, so he has to use Intel.
See, that's understandable. All right, this is quality packaging, though. That's the thing I appreciate most about what AMD did here is, like, you know, enthusiast platform. Yeah, we're going to make it an enthusiast unboxing experience. So you open it up.
That way you can pay extra.
Exactly, right. So up here, you got your little documentation and your Threadripper sticker. That's cool. That'll be going on my plaque. I have a plaque for stickers from Computer Parts. All right, so if I can get it out, which I probably can't. Okay, so you've got your Torx torque wrench here, meaning Torx bit. It's also a torque wrench. So you give it a certain amount of power, and it will actually snap back.
More power.
I can't do it here because I have to grip the bit. But yeah, so it's what basically you turn it and you tighten down the CPU socket on top of the CPU till this clicks, and then you're good to go. And then in here, which I'm not gonna, or actually, okay, never mind. It's not too tightly boxed. I'll take it out. Is your Threadripper Asetek adapter. So this allows you to adapt it to any Asetek cooler out there. So it's a lot of the stuff from NZXT, Corsair, Cooler Master, stuff like that, in order to cool the system with that. Nice to include. I'll actually be using this until I do my custom loop, so glad they included that. All right. So it's dusty. No, it's not dusty.
Actually, it is.
I'm dusty, but it's not dusty. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and be careful and not break it. All right.
Hulk smash.
Yeah, right. It's cool holographic inside. You guys can't probably see that very well, but Oh well.
There's 2 different pieces of plastic with different designs on them to give it depth.
It looks holographic. All right. So this is Threadripper here. I'm nervous if I open it, I won't be able to get it back in the box, and I can't use it yet. A little bit more on that in a second, so I don't know if I should open it or not.
Probably not.
Probably not, huh? I want to hold it, though.
Just showing it on. Just don't worry about it.
I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, I'm worried because it's latched so tight I'm not going to be able to get it back in. So I'll show you guys that. So that is literally the CPU right there. That is the IHS, the integrated heat spreader, right there.
Kevin also agrees.
Agrees to what?
Not open it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, I won't be opening it. So I don't have a motherboard for this yet. That's the story behind this. These went on sale for $879.99 here in the U.S. for about a week, and I had to buy one. I don't have the money for a motherboard right now, but I'll probably be getting one 2 to 4 weeks from Friday, depending on other bills and stuff like that. But I wanted to go ahead and get it for the actual price that was, $120 off is pretty significant on a $1,000 CPU.
More than 10% off.
It's heavy. Feel that. That's heavy. That is heavy.
Damn.
That's mostly CPU. You can tell too, because that's mostly the CPU that weighs that much. But this is a really exciting project for me, guys. It's gonna help so much with render times. I'm gonna be able to render, transcode, and game at the same time. Whatever I want to do.
All on your 660 Ti.
All on my So this will be running a 660 Ti until new GPUs come out from NVIDIA and AMD next year. Well, maybe not AMD, depending on when they release them. But I'm planning to see what the new GPUs and new probably Pascal refresh from NVIDIA is, and hopefully get my hand on either 2 Titans or like 2, like 1180 Ti's or whatever they decide to call them, 2080 Ti's, whatever it ends up being. So this is an exciting project for me, guys, and it is happening for real. I'm gonna go ahead and box it back up. I'm going to get into the news, but you guys will be seeing a lot of content on this, and this will also help me get content out quicker, so that'll be good.
Yeah. While you box that back up, I'll get started on the news, since it's already...
Yeah, you know more about this subject than me. Anyway.
So, we're going to start with Newegg being sued. Newegg is not the only company being sued as part of all of this, but they are the ones that we care about because we don't deal with ASI Corp.
Why not?
They are a large tech distributor, and we don't buy stuff from them directly. So essentially what happened is there is a company in South Korea called Manual, I think, and they were using essentially Newegg and ASI to essentially make fraudulent orders. So these were for HTPCs. That they did so many fraudulent orders. The reason for this was that Manual was trying to make their sales numbers look better so that they could get fraudulent financing.
And is this all like proven?
Yes.
Okay.
So the CEO of Manual this is like old stuff.
Okay.
The CEO of Manual got arrested and sent to prison for 23 years.
Okay.
23 years.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
but is the info about Newegg more so confirmed?
There's a reason I'm saying alleged.
Okay. Duh.
Manual was supposedly able to obtain $3 billion in loans from 10 different South Korean banks thanks to these fake orders, which is a lot of money. They defaulted on many of those loans and owed as much as $500 million because of it. CEO was then sent to jail. Supposedly, both Newegg and ASI received kickbacks for these fraudulent orders. And supposedly, they were being sold at 300 times their actual value. Now, The reason that Newegg and ASI are being called out...
I'm going to interrupt you and say, Kevin, we'll get to your comments in just a second, I promise.
The reason that they are being called out and sued over this is, obviously, Manual has the invoices. Right, why would Newegg or ASI, but more importantly, a consumer-facing retailer, why would they be spending 300 times the actual value on something? They need to make a profit, not a loss.
Exactly, yeah.
And so that's very sketchy. The 4 banks suing are claiming that $230 million is still owed to them. And Newegg's legal counsel has obviously denied it.
I hope Newegg wasn't really a part of it. I hope that it comes out that that's not true.
If
Because we love Newegg, but they were also bought out by Chinese recently.
Yeah, but this is also not recent.
Yeah, exactly.
This is-
So realistically, they shouldn't even be suing Newegg. They should be suing the ex-owners of Newegg, I would think.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what exactly is happening, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You sue the company, you don't sue the owners no matter what.
right, that's a good point. That's true.
So
a couple of quick comments. So Kevin was asking about the 1950X that I have here. He was asking which motherboard, and he was thinking the new Gigabyte. So I'm not going with a Gigabyte motherboard. I'm actually going with an ASRock for one specific reason. I'm going with the ASRock X399 gaming professional gaming. I hate motherboard model names at this point. I don't know if you agree, but anyway. So the reasoning for that is it has has 3 NICs built in it, 3 network interface cards, but one of those is a 10 gigabit NIC. That's important to me because I do all my storage on a server, and right now gigabit's not too much of a limit by any means. Like it's not a huge deal because when I'm working with the footage, it's obviously on my machine. But it would be nice to have something faster in the future when I start upgrading that stuff. And so if at any point within the next 4 years, because that's probably how long I'm keeping this motherboard platform, depending on finances, obviously, I'm going to be able to upgrade to 10 gigabit at any point in time if I want to. So that's why I'm going with that. Otherwise, I'd probably actually be going with the either the Zenith Extreme or potentially the Asus ROG Strix X399 board. Now, the reason I'm not going with the Zenith Extreme, you might be like, oh, well, it has 10 gigabit. It doesn't have 10 gigabit built into the motherboard chipset. It has 10 gigabit as a PCI Express card, and I may want to use, depending on growth of the channel and whatnot and finances, again, obviously, I may want to use the other PCI Express slots for not only 2 GPUs, but potentially like a higher end capture card and like potentially rendering cards or something like that, right? Like I want the expansion. The idea, since I'm going to be keeping this platform for so long, and in fact, even if I upgrade the CPU, even if finances permit upgrading everything, I'm probably just going to keep the board and just upgrade the CPU with the next series of Zen Plus when it comes out, or even Zen 2 when that comes out. Maybe that's a bigger upgrade. It'll be worth it or whatever. And so I'll be keeping the board for quite some time. So I think it's a good idea to go with something that gives you the most expansion possible. So anyway, then he also asked, somebody told him an 8700K would be faster for rendering. They maybe just said it'd be faster than Ryzen, which really depends on which chip you're going with. The 8700K, when it comes to like productivity workflow, is about the same as an 8-core Ryzen like 1800X. Now, this is a 16-core. This is a monster. The only things from Intel that currently beat this in like fully threaded workloads, so even like Adobe Premiere Pro doesn't, it starts to have a little bit of wonkiness above like 10, 12 threads. It can access more than that, but it's just, I'm not going to get into details. Anyway, but when it comes to like this, the only things from Intel that beats this is their 18 core, obviously, their 16 core, and their 14 core in some instances will beat the 16 core depending on what the overclocks are looking like. When it comes to stock clocks, this thing's about, I'd say, close to level with their 16 core, but their 16 core overclocks better than this 16 core because Intel has more overclocking headroom. So it's a little bit of a toss up there, but they're also substantially more expensive. This is going to be faster than the 8700K by a lot. It's also a $1,000 CPU that I got for $880. It is not a $400 CPU like the 8700K. So then also Kevin was saying he was thinking Thunderbolt 3 with like a 20 terabyte setup or something like that on a NAS. That is possible, but I want it all network based in case I need to access it from another machine. That way I don't have to plug directly into the NAS through a Thunderbolt cable, which don't tend to be very long because I sometimes keep things pretty far separated in my area down here.
You can get long Thunderbolt cables. They are just very
expensive. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, the big thing is, I'm just going with the ASRock for that. Joel says he's doing readings and listening to the podcast. Classic. I like that. All right. And Kevin says, gotcha. All right. Next topic, right?
There was something or a couple of other things I was going to add to this.
About Newegg. Okay.
Yeah.
Newegg getting
sued. As far as the actual HTPCs being sold at the increased price. So Manual was charging ASI and Newegg between $25.30 and $29.80 per unit. When the banks that got the financial documents over the company found out that they were literally only worth $8. Yeah.
It's bad.
So that's a pretty big deal. Also, the documents submitted that prove this fraud, I'm saying prove in quotes because as of right now,
right,
they haven't been proven guilty in court, therefore they are innocent. But it's 70 pages of fraudulent orders between Newegg and ASI.
Not good, not good.
So we don't know if
this worries me a little bit.
We don't know if this was a bad actor in the company of Newegg that's just trying to get the kickbacks to bump up their numbers.
Right.
Or this could have been a company, like a systemic
something
problem
this
company.
sketchy. It's hard to know what could actually be going on.
So we'll have to
I just
see
hope
what
that
comes
something
of this
terrible
lawsuit.
doesn't happen to Newegg when it comes to the employees that they're employing that have nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
You know, like they have quite a few employees.
Mm.
You know, they're a pretty huge company, and I wouldn't want to see them like go under by any means or something. Are we ready for the next topic, though? Before you start it, are we ready for the next topic?
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready for the next topic. I want to do another quick thing because we have a few more people watching. I talked about earlier in this live stream for you guys. A friend of mine. I'll be quick because the details are at the very beginning of the live stream. But a friend of mine, his name's Chris, was hit by a drunk driver when he was walking to work at night, and so they're doing a GoFundMe to help him with his bills and stuff like that because he's been living on his own. And I have links in the description here for you guys if you just open up the description to donate on his GoFundMe to help him, as well as a news article about it so you guys know that it's legitimate and that I'm not just asking you guys to send money somewhere random. But anyway, good friend of mine, and anything you guys can do to help would be appreciated. I'll be doing a dedicated video on the channel about it, but again, anything, we greatly appreciate that. So, all right, so next topic.
AMD news.
Lots of AMD news.
So first up is their earnings report numbers were released for the third quarter. They did beat expectations. They were actually in the black for the first time in quite a while, which means profitable.
Yes.
They ended the quarter with $71 million in profit, which is quite significant since this time last year they were announcing an over $400 million loss. So that's a nearly half a billion dollar
turnaround. Like, wow. That says something when they release a good product. I have a few details I want to add to this once you're done, by the way, with this particular section.
Okay. So that was a pretty big deal. Now, oddly enough, and I'm going to be reading up more into it just because I'm curious as to, there has to be something else going on as to why.
Yeah.
But their stock dropped after announcing this
Which
by
makes
like $2.
No sense. Like, hi, we're doing better than we've done in 8 years.
And we beat expectations.
Oh man, this company sucks. I'm not going to get my money's worth out of them. What? Like, I don't get that at all.
So I'm not sure what's up with that. I'll read into it more.
But the profit's good for them no matter what.
Yeah,
so that's okay. Yeah.
And with this increased profit leads to something that they really like that they're doing, putting that money back into R&D.
Whoa, a company putting the money back into doing something?
Mm-hmm.
That never happens.
Yeah, not very often.
That never happens.
So this time last year, their R&D budget was $259 million. Now it is $315 million, which is a year over year.
And that's spread across Radio and Technologies Group as well. So
yeah.
that means we're going to see some GPU research from this.
So yeah, that's a year over year increase of 21.6%.
Huge.
Into R&D, which is awesome.
That is
This is
great.
both really good sign for Zen's long-term future and for RTG.
Yes. And the thing is, of course, everybody that's adopted Ryzen by any means, if you've adopted either, if you've gone to the TR4 socket with Threadripper, or if you've even gone to SP4 for the server stuff, or if you have AM4, your boards, they've already talked about, they're going to be supported. That socket will be supported for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah. The only thing I have a feeling we'll see changed at all is a minor chipset refresh for Thunderbolt.
I think we're going to see... Okay, so I agree with you.
PCI-4.
I think we're going to... Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, but I think we're actually going to see a pretty substantial chipset upgrade on the AM4 socket in specific.
What for?
And I'll tell you why. The AM4 boards haven't had the expansion options that some people have been wanting. Now, part of that is because MATX has been really limited because they're all using the B350 chipset instead of the X370 chipset, or there's another chipset, I always forget the name of it, is X350 or something like that, that's going to be, that's for MATX and ITX in specific.
I think it's now just X370i is what that Asus board is.
Could be. But they were supposed to release a dedicated chipset for that, but the problem is most of the boards that are, even the one or two out there that is X370, this micro ATX, they only have like 4 SATA ports.
Yeah.
Some of the boards have 6, but people that are looking maybe for more expansion, which I feel like, maybe it wasn't necessarily as important on Intel's side, but it's starting to become more important because we're getting more cores on mainstream platforms, meaning people that are looking for more budget-oriented workstations to get work done that still need lots of drive expandability and stuff like that, they're going to need more SATA ports and stuff. And that was one of the reasons I went with Threadripper. I was actually considering going with the 8-core at the time, but these went on sale. I just had to do it. But anyway, I didn't want to go with standard Ryzen on AM4 because it just wasn't the expansion I was looking for. Same with like some of the boards, especially MATX, only have one M.2 port, and if they have two, the second one is not running at full speed, it's running at SATA.
Yeah.
So, what's up?
I actually want to talk about this motherboard.
Okay. Do you want to
really
talk about that right now, or
we'll do it after the rest of the AMD news?
Okay,
but this is
we
just
have a new motherboard to talk
really
about.
Cool.
Yeah, send me a link real quick so that I can load it up on the stream when we
especially the stuff about the M.2.
Yeah, because that's very cool. So anyway, so it's been a little bit frustrating when it comes to motherboards for that platform. So I think we're going to see a chipset update. Maybe next year, but if not next year, then in 2019 for sure, 2019 for sure, we're going to see a pretty major one with some good changes, including like the additive of Thunderbolt. Now, I wanted to touch on something here, but of course I lost my train of thought a little bit. Oh, so this shows so all of the earnings increase shows what a company is capable of doing when they put their mind to it, they spend their money, and they hire Jim Keller.
Mm-hmm.
So I've talked about Jim Keller a little bit on the stream before, guys. He's not necessarily the best, but one of the best CPU architects on the planet. And last time AMD was successful was after a series of CPUs that the last time that they were competing solid, so before the bulldozer stuff, when they were competing fairly well with Intel, the architectures were designed by Jim Keller, the last ones that were competing really well with Intel. I can't remember it was some of the Phenom stuff and whatnot, I believe. But anyway, then they hired Jim Keller again after Bulldozer's failure, and he was helping with the architectural designment of Zen, and Zen's been amazing. But this just shows me, like, this is really cool to see them getting their money's worth and seeing AMD be a thing again, because we needed competition in the market, and that's obvious by all the garbage that's been going on with Intel that we've talked about over the last 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, big deal. All right, so AMD's teasing a new product.
Yeah, so they tweeted a couple times over the past few days, with the most recent one specifically naming Zen and giving a hint of Ryzen, of new hardware that is going to, quote-unquote, change the way you think about power, performance, and possibility. Whatever the hell that means.
Wonder what that means.
The leaked benchmarks indicate that this is what we think this is going to be, is performing less than Intel's integrated, or like chips with integrated Iris.
That is not what I heard. I heard that they were outperforming.
Leaked benchmarks from today that indicate otherwise.
There were some leaked benchmarks, but I was hearing that their mobile APUs were going to use about 10 watts more power, which is fairly substantial when you're talking a 15 watt versus a 25 watt part. But their graphics is like just blowing Intel out of the water. Their CPU performance isn't, but it's not that far off. But their
were
graphics,
they comparing any Intel integrated or specifically Iris? Because Iris isn't in very many
Iris
chips.
is, true. They might have just been, the comparison I heard might not have been
related to
Iris.
It was probably with Intel HD, not Iris.
Probably. Iris, though, is not common.
I know, that's what.
At all.
So
this almost doesn't matter because you pay a really hefty premium to get Iris in your system.
Because, what everyone's suspecting this is the Raven Ridge hardware.
Correct.
And Raven Ridge is their APUs, which is going to be nice. And as I suspected, and I think I mentioned on this show a long time ago, that I have a feeling that we won't see many or any AM4 motherboards that are ITX release until we start getting APUs, because that's when they're going to be most common.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And,
and what are the odds? We get APUs being announced tomorrow, and we just started getting ITX boards.
Yep.
So that's all good news, but we're looking at
which makes sense. I mean, if you can get a high quality APU that has actually some pretty crazy good graphics in it, that's full gaming capable, you can build an even smaller form factor box that is still gaming capable than we've been able to do before.
Yeah. So. And you can also do something like get this and an ITX, like a decent ITX board like the Asus one we'll talk about in just a second.
Yep.
And then when you have more, like, this is a good way to get started in PC hardware, is then get a graphics card when you can afford it. That's how I started, was with an AMD APU. It was the A10.
Yeah. I had an A10.
Like a third gen, I think.
See, that was in your desktop. Yeah, you had a
A6 in my
70.
laptop, and then an A10.
You had an
in my
A6 in your
desktop.
laptop. You had an A10 7850,
Yeah.
I think it was, or
Yeah.
whatever, which was the APU at the time that was the top of the line, and it was a good setup actually.
Yeah.
It was a pretty
So
decent chip. Yeah.
This is for people that are just getting started and don't have a lot of money. I've always felt that when there are quality APUs available, APU and then a graphics card next is the way to go.
I think that's a solid option.
Especially for esports, you can go straight into gaming for games like Overwatch and League of Legends.
Right, exactly.
With an APU.
Whereas, like, if you try and use integrated graphics, like I've tried to use this as integrated graphics, it isn't very fun.
Yeah.
You're not going to be getting very good frames by any means at all, to be honest. So, yeah. Continue talking about that. We're having some dropped frames. I'm trying to figure out why.
Okay.
Oh, Asus's website's still loading.
I will... so really all we've gotten from AMD is that there is some kind of product tomorrow. But what is important, I think, to go over is the... so GFX benchmarks went out, and I'll link you to this, too, so you can take a look at
Please
it.
do. I don't know what's going on. Asus's website, the images aren't loading. They must be massive. I don't know why my internet's going so slow, though, either. It's probably a router problem again, because we're uploading.
They loaded on mine.
We're uploading so much bandwidth. We're dropping a ton of frames right now, though.
I'm just going to plop...
So I'm going to close this. Oh, wait. Did it finally load? It finally loaded all the images. All right. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. That was a little weird.
I just plopped that.
Yeah, now we're not dropping frames anymore.
Reddit link in there, and it has a link to the actual GFX bench, so you can look at it.
For Raven Ridge? Okay, okay, cool, cool.
But it was the one we were looking at was the 2700U Pro. So this is specifically a Pro marketed one, which means that it would be competitive with Iris, which is why people are bringing Iris up. However, the benchmarks seem to indicate that it's quite a bit slower than an RX 460. So we'll see how that's going to go.
It's still going to be good enough for esports, though.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest target for these. And that's what's really, really nice. Is like I would love to be able to play Overwatch on my Ultrabook here. So that whenever I go places and I don't want to take my big bulky Sega around, I can just grab this, play some Overwatch. I can play Hearthstone on it just fine. I love playing Hearthstone on it, but you guys get the point. So interesting. This is very interesting, though, and I'm excited to see it, though, because AMD's APUs have always performed really well. These are going to be running the Polaris architecture, it looks like, though.
This says Vega.
Oh, they are Vega. Okay, so the problem probably is power, then. Yeah. I bet you the issue here is they could make it perform better with higher clocks, but they've got to keep that TDP no higher than 25, maybe 30, but that's pushing it, watts in order to get semi-decent battery life out of, like, Ultrabooks and stuff that could be running this chip, so...
Yeah, so we'll see how that performance goes. It looks like, though, this might only be with single-channel memory, so dual channel might help because it is an APU, and memory helps a lot with APUs. So we'll have to just wait and see on that. But I really want to talk about this
Let's talk about this really cool board, because I'm a motherboard whore.
Yeah, pull it up on stream.
So I'm pulling it up on stream, guys. So here, screen cap. Oh, wait, is my screen cap not? Okay, it's working now.
Yeah, so this is the Asus X370 Mini ITX board.
It's X370i. Get it right.
It's just, that's their branding.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, so it's cool to see an ITX board, though, that is this spec.
Yeah. It supports up to DDR4 3600 megahertz. It's got 3.1 Gen 2, built-in Wi-Fi, built-in Bluetooth, and then scroll down.
Yep, I'm going to start scrolling. It is a beautiful looking board, too, I have to say. Asus actually has been really impressing me with their very, very, very simple color schemes. There's still some board manufacturers, especially on the non-super enthusiast platforms, but just AM4, that they put color on their boards. Like, for example, and actually Asus is actually... They're still guilty of that on the best MATX board that you can get for AM4 right now, but I'm not going to get in details on that. Generally, Asus is really good about having a blank color scheme, so you do all your own custom stuff, whereas other companies sometimes will have little hints of color in there that tend to ruin the look.
Yeah.
Very cool by them.
It's got 4 regular USB 3 ports and then 2 3.1 Gen 2s. I do wish that it also had one
by
or
4,
two
you mean 2 connectors for 4 externals, correct? Or are you talking rear I/O?
I'm talking rear.
Okay, I thought you were talking internal for case expansion. Never mind.
No.
And it's got... Okay, continue.
So it's got... it's also got... it's only got 3 audio jacks on like some motherboards, but we'll talk more about the audio card in a second, because there's something really cool about it. But the audio jacks are actually illuminated, which I think is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's something they've been doing for a while, and it's a really cool feature. I'd like other companies to do that. Even though I have all my audio gear separate, most people don't, and it's nice to be able to see where you're plugging stuff in.
Yeah. So go ahead and Scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm clicking on the wrong stuff. I forgot. I'm screen capping.
Scroll down one more section because this is really awesome in my opinion.
Yes.
How they're handling the M.2 and
this
the audio.
This is really cool.
So they have a separate card that is raised above the motherboard so that
it's called a daughter board.
Yeah, so there isn't signal interference. But this daughter board, which handles the audio, is also where the M.2 slot is.
Yeah.
So you can have the SSD hooked up to this, and it doesn't take up extra space.
Yeah.
And then it comes with a heat sink that has an embedded LED to cover all of it.
Yep. It's a very, very, very good design. In fact, ASUS's innovation has impressed me continually when it comes to their ITX. ASRock may be the leader when it comes to making stupid huge sockets fit on ITX. I'm still waiting for X399 ITX, right? But they just had X299 ITX on the Intel side. But when it comes to actual like innovation of just a really, really good board, ASUS knows where it's at.
Yeah.
You know, they're not working on fitting the socket. They're working on how can we get everything that an enthusiast expects out of an ITX or a full ATX board onto an ITX board. Basically, what their goal is just shrink it down and take away the PCI Express slots. Nothing else change if possible. And they've done a lot of daughter boards and stuff like that. In fact, they even had some daughter not exactly daughter, but technically a daughter board for VRMs and stuff like that on some other boards for like Intel's older like Z97 and stuff like that. So really cool looking system. It's got 4 SATA ports. Again, the limit of 4 is a little bit frustrating to me when you can have up to an 8-core CPU, you know?
Yeah, but it's also like how many people are going to have an ITX motherboard and
right, but my issue is MATX and ATX.
Yeah,
a lot of them are still 4. I know. I was just pointing that out for other people. There's a lot of people that are frustrated that you can't get more than 4 on a lot of stuff. Some ATX you can, and one MATX you can. So yeah, I won't go ahead and go through the rest of this because that was just the pictures of the board. But man, is it pretty in my opinion.
Oh, and it does support dual NVMe M.2s.
It does?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. Okay, wait, they are both. Oh, but is one running at SATA speeds? Check that. I want to find out about this.
Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't say so. I feel like they wouldn't be specifying dual NVMe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. Well, NVMe can still be SATA.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying I feel like they wouldn't
like do that.
That's not you don't generally advertise it if you're not going to get the full performance.
So we may have some comments to address.
Go ahead.
All right. So let's see. Scrolling up to the comments a little bit here. So Joe says he started with an A8 7600K. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And he also said the stream looked fine even when we were dropping frames. Good to know because I was worried there. And then Kevin was asking what's wrong with Sager. Nothing's wrong with Sager. It's just I have the Sager NP9872. It's massive, and so like I take it places if I'm going to be there for more than like a couple of hours. If I'm going to be doing like gaming or work or whatever. But it's like I set it up like a desktop. In fact, it was my desktop for just over a year. But I was mostly just saying that it would be nice to be able to play some esports like Overwatch on this, so that I didn't have to carry the bulky Sager around if I'm just going to be somewhere for a couple of hours and I want to play a round of Overwatch or two.
Yeah.
Whereas the Sager, I mean, it's huge. And I love the thing, though. It's an incredible machine. I've got a review of it. Check it out on the channel if you're interested. But
yeah. For me, it would also be nice to have something small like that I could play Destiny on. Which is part of why I'm looking at possibly getting the ZenBook Pro. Either that or Dell Inspiron that has a 1060 in it because they have those. And they're way cheaper.
Yeah.
Like $1,250.
All right, so let's see a few more comments.
Those are the last relevant actual questions. For us.
I'm just double checking. Well, Kevin was asking. Okay, so this was answered, but I'm going to answer it on stream too because Mitch, good to have you here by the way, Mitch. Great to see you. But Kevin was saying, isn't Threadripper also Ryzen 9? Technically, no. A lot of people could call it, want to call it that, but no. I think it wouldn't have been a bad naming scheme considering i9, but because then you have R9, R7, R5, right? But no, it's just called Threadripper, or Ryzen Threadripper, technically speaking. But I whatever, right? It's just a naming scheme. I love the name Threadripper still. It's very clever. It's not like Epic. God, I still hate that name.
Hey, it's pretty epic.
Okay, it is pretty epic, but the problem with the name is if you work in like a server environment and you go up to your boss and be like, "Can we upgrade everything to Epic?"
Yeah.
And like if they don't know what you're talking about because they just give you the go ahead, you're the IT guy. They'll go, "What the heck is this Epic thing?" It seems like it seems like a joke.
The same thing could be said with Threadripper if, let's say, you're like a smaller video editing firm or something, and you're like wanting to get some 16-core chips, and you're like, "Hey, boss, so I think that the best chips that we should be getting are Threadripper."
But Threadripper sounds cool.
Okay.
But Epic
sounds epic.
Dumb.
It sounds epic.
Yeah.
Should have called it Threadripper Pro. They should have called it AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro Epic Edition.
I like it, and then the number for the SKU.
Yeah.
Also, yes, Mitch says I got a Threadripper. Yeah, the Threadripper arrived. I know that you already knew I was ordering one. Yeah, it arrived today actually, just in time for us to bring it over here and unbox it on the stream. So I unboxed it, but yeah, it's sitting here, 1950X, 16 core. Can't wait to build in it, but I won't have a motherboard for a couple of weeks, so not going to be able to actually assemble the system yet, but when I do, it's going to be exciting.
Speaking of Threadripper, do you want to talk about some TR4 socket issues?
I do, in just a second. And then Kevin was just saying he's hoping Ryzen 7 laptops come soon. Yes, Ryzen 7 laptops will be showing up pretty soon, I assume. I'm hoping that some show up from like companies like Sager that do like add-in, stuff like that. Add-in.
Yeah, I feel like APUs are going to be in laptops a lot sooner.
APUs are going to be in laptops a lot, but we want to see. I'd love to see more like 8-core laptops, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see AMD prioritize those until they have Vega mobile ready.
Yeah, probably, because then they're just running NVIDIA GPUs in it. Yeah, I would like to see system integrators, SIs, like Sager and stuff, put them in their laptops. Would be super cool. Asus has one, but I don't believe you can purchase it yet. That they showed off at like Computex and stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. And then Kevin also said, what the hell happened to memory? Really briefly, memory's super expensive right now because there's been a shortage because so many things use flash memory. Not going to get into details about that right now because we got a lot of other news to get through. But yeah, memory's just stupid expensive right now. That's why I have DDR4 32 gigs sitting around. I'm wanting to go to 128 gigabytes over the next few months, but I got to wait till the price drops before I pull the trigger on that because that's just ridiculous. Anyway, moving on a little bit here though. We're going to be talking about TR4 socket issues that a lot of you may have been hearing about that aren't actually necessarily issues depending on your outlook on it. So a lot of people, and YouTubers in particular, I'm just going to call him out, Jay's 2 cents, did a video on it, and it's not necessarily his mistake or anything. Like, he was doing everything right in the video, so like his video isn't wrong, but his video kind of blew up, and I wanted to do a little bit of an explanation here so that people aren't maybe too worried. So in his video, and some other people that have been talking about it and complaining about it, he couldn't get the socket to latch down correctly. Now his CPU may have been damaged. I don't know if that was related to the pressure he was putting on it or if he got really unlucky with one of the little divots that are on the bottom side of the CPU, because these are a LGA, meaning the pins are in the motherboard, so it wasn't like a pin on the CPU bent. But anyway, I just wanted to address this. So people were having issues. So when you slide the Threadripper CPU into a little rail and then you close it down and you close the plate on top of that, there's 3 screws and you screw them in order 1, 2, and 3. So you've got 1 over here. This would be the top side of the motherboard generally, unless they rotate the socket. And then you've got 2 and 3. And I know this isn't the best representation here, but anyway, so you got 1, 2, and 3 there, and people were having issues where they would screw down 1 all the way, like you're supposed to, using the torque wrench there so that you get the right torque amount, and they couldn't get 2 and 3 to thread and actually catch the threads and be able to tighten down the socket. Now, that's not good, and it seems that it was reported to be more of an issue with the Foxconn sockets, not the Lotes sockets. So there's 2 companies that actually make the sockets for AMD, for Threadripper, for the board manufacturers. There's Foxconn, probably all know who they are, and then there's Lotes, or Lotes, or something. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Lotes, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, Lotes. The Lotes socket seems to have less issues in this case, but the solution, and full credit goes to, I can't remember his name, but a guy from Hard OCP did a video on it, explaining this exactly. I'm going to link the video in just a moment here in case you guys are wanting to watch it later. So full credit goes to him. He came up with this, and I'm glad because I was worried because my board's going to have a Foxconn socket. Hi, climbing under there. Yeah, don't pull the cable. There you go. Okay. So anyway, so in order to solve that problem, that's kind of a problem. Well, what's actually happening is when you tighten down that first screw, it's putting pressure laterally across the socket retention bracket and is lifting up a little bit the 2 and 3 screws. And what happens there is then you can't get them threaded because they only have like 3 threads on them. They're pretty short screws, and you can't get them threaded down in there, which is not good, right? You can't tighten your CPU down. So the solution that the guy from Hard OCP came up with, and he did a video on it, he said he's done it on a lot of CPUs and never had a problem, whether it was Foxconn or Lotes sockets, is what you do is you lower it down, and you start turning the screw for number 1 backwards until you feel it click down a little bit where the threads seat, so the threads are actually aligned to start screwing in, and then you turn it about a quarter turn. You do the same for 2 and 3. You turn it back, let it seat, keep turning and apply a little bit of pressure so that you seat that. Then you turn it about a quarter turn. So that once they are all seated, meaning they're all actually threaded in enough that they're not going to come out, you screw 1 down all the way, 2 down all the way, and 3 down all the way. So I wanted to address that to anybody so that you know that it's not a horrible, horrible thing. It's just kind of bad instructions.
When you get your
board, I'm going to be doing a video on it. Yes, I'm going to be doing a video explaining it to
boring explanation I've ever heard.
It's a really
very difficult issue to just explain.
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a dedicated video to show you guys exactly what I mean once I get my board. But basically, the socket issues that people are talking about where they can't get screw 2 and 3 on TR4, the Threadripper socket, to thread correctly, keep in mind, take those, not necessarily with a grain of salt, but there is a way around it that seems to work almost 100%, if not 100% of the time. So, you know, like, again, Jay's 2 Cents had a video on it that scared a lot of people and stuff, and there was more reports on it when I started researching it after seeing his video, and he did everything correct. So, again, there's nothing, like, I'm not criticizing Jay by any means, but there is a way around that issue in particular so that you don't have to put 300 pounds of force onto it to get the thread to go in on those different screws there.
Yeah.
So, anyway, wanted to point that out. Couple of comments. Let's see. Yes. So Mitch was right. Yeah. He guessed. He's like, I assume you should just not completely tighten 1 before starting 2 and 3. Yeah. Yeah. Totally right. Yeah. You got to just kind of go back and forth. So yep.
Wow. It's almost like you should be tightening stuff that way.
I know, right? Well, that's the normal way you tighten stuff. I don't know why they didn't just say that initially. So, why are you playing our stream and showing us?
Because my media volume is all the way down, yet you can still hear it. It is coming.
Whoa, okay, guys. So Calvin's playing our video, our stream on his phone right now. Yeah, bring that here. Bring that here. Bring that in. Are you sure it's your media volume?
Yeah,
he's changing the volume when YouTube is up.
Well, but if it's grabbing the wrong one. All right. So, guys, that's us, obviously. But his phone turned down all the way. Media volume's down all the way, but you can still hear it.
It's showing up as an in-call volume.
It's coming up as in-call volume. But you're not in a call.
I know. I have an app open, but it shouldn't be.
That's so weird. Anyway, but yeah, anyway, guys, so it's just not as big of an issue as you'd expect, the whole TR4 socket issue. So just don't freak out if you see a video on it or anything like that. There's a way around it. I'll do a dedicated video explaining that in more detail to people that might actually have Threadripper.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people here probably don't.
Yeah.
All right, so next news topic.
Yeah, this one I'm really excited about.
Yes, yes.
Artings is expanding into monitor reviews. So for those that don't know what Artings is, they are a review site that previously only did televisions and headphones, and they had some of the best, most in-depth technical television reviews that you could ever want or need. More information than most anybody would ever want. But if you have anything in specific about a television that you're looking for... We both
just adjusted our seating at the same time. That was excellent.
If you're ever looking for any specific information on a TV, they pretty much always have it. So for me, for example, being that I do play a lot of video games, any TV that I've ever considered buying ever since I first found their website, I've gone to and looked at their input lag section because they do very solid, very in-depth input lag testing.
Okay.
And in fact, after they changed and got a more reliable method, they went and retested all of their TVs because
they
keep all of their hardware until it is discontinued. so that they
Which
can
is
do
smart.
new testing.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they test new products, they do that testing with a previous product in hand so that they make sure that they don't mess up the testing.
It's cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
they do so many things for consistency. And so their TV reviews are already pretty dang amazing.
Yep.
So now they're moving into monitor reviews.
Which is a bigger deal. I think in a lot of ways even more important than TV reviews because of the fact that let's just be honest, it's more common that the super nerds are buying monitors over TVs.
Yeah.
And general consumers don't care when about a TV when they're looking up a review. They don't necessarily care about what's the input lag.
Yeah,
you know?
but
I'm not saying it's bad.
I was just saying.
Yeah.
So when you first load up the review of any of their products, they have different review scores for different use cases.
Right.
And so that information, even for normies, is very helpful.
It's very helpful. Yes.
So for example, if you're looking for an HDR TV, you can go on their website and just type in the TV model number, and it has like an HDR gaming review score specifically for that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to monitors, they're going to have different scores for different uses as well. They're going to do one for office use, one for gaming, one for multimedia, content creation, HDR gaming, and then a average score, a mixed usage score.
Okay.
So that's pretty awesome. So you can get a quick glance at if this monitor is going to be utter trash for what you're using it for, and if it is, then you can just ignore it and go to a new monitor. Also, one of the big things is for monitors that a lot of people ignore, and they really shouldn't. I know that I need to deal with this, is color calibration.
Yes, that's extremely important.
If you buy monitors, they're never going to be as color accurate as they could be because they generally don't come
not 100% true. Yeah, very rarely you will find ones that come factory calibrated
but those are
professionally.
Usually,
and that's like the best calibration you can get, but
and those
that's
are also
only
more expensive generally. They're also generally the content creation specific ones.
Generally, they're not the best for gaming
Yeah.
either. They're not usually high refresh rate. And those ones, you're looking at a lot of times $2,000+.
So what they're going to be doing is having two different calibration sections. A pre-calibration that'll just suggest to you the most accurate default picture mode. So if you don't want to mess with it, you just want decent color accuracy, you can just select the mode and leave it.
Yep.
And then there's a post-calibration section that includes all of their calibration sections, the ICC settings for you to load up on your computer, and you can then see how color accurate the monitor really is when it's fully calibrated, which is going to be a big factor in something like the content creation score. So when you're looking at content creation, it's going to go into that. Input lag testing is going to include a bunch of different things to test variable refresh rate, the native resolution, and if you're using a scaler for alternate resolutions, things like that. So that's going to be fantastic. They also do their own testing on variable refresh rate range.
Okay.
And then one other thing, which I didn't include in the doc, but I know that I showed you and we both really liked, was when they show the dimensions of the device or of the monitor, they're going to be showing the thickness of just the panel, and then the thickness of it when it's on its stand. So if you're trying to get an idea for how much of your desk this is going to take
and they show a picture too, which is great, and then they give you the actual measurement so you can measure your desk area.
Yeah,
I
so you
appreciate
can measure your desk, you can see how close it's going to be to a wall.
Yep.
It's just like I'm very, very happy that they're doing monitor reviews as their next thing because they currently do TVs and headphones.
It's very cool.
Their headphone reviews aren't the best, but that's because, like with all headphone reviews, whether or not you agree with the review is going to be dependent on what you like in headphones. And so one of the things that they're actually doing to address that, because the CEO of Artings is very active on Reddit, and so when the post about them expanding into monitors was there, a lot of people were talking about the site. And so a lot of people criticized them about headphones. And he was very upfront about that. They currently use the Harman target curve, which is just like a neutral sound curve.
Yeah.
And they want to add the ability to either have some different presets that they score against, or they even mentioned the idea of having your own sound target that you can make for it, which would be pretty awesome. All in all, Artings, excellent site for reviews. If you're ever looking for,
what's funny too is like when you
detailed tech reviews, go there.
When you told me their name, I didn't recognize the name for some reason, which is weird. Like I know most major hardware reviewers, but when you showed me their site, I recognized the site because I'd looked at their stuff before. I just never heard of them directly. So very cool.
And what's really cool is that they buy their products.
Yes.
And
yes.
they the way that they get their money is almost completely from referral links to Amazon and things like that, along with donations. The site was started with the CEO of the company, his leftover money from when he worked at Microsoft. Mm-hmm. They have been independent the entire time, so they are a very reliable source.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
And they keep all of their hardware.
My dog is barking. Sorry if you guys hear that. All right, so we're about to move into the next topic here, but I wanted to make another quick shout out in case different people are watching. I talked about this at the beginning of the stream and a little bit earlier, but basically I'm just doing a plug in here. So a friend of mine, his name is Chris, a pretty good friend of mine that I've known for a long time, was hit by a drunk driver walking to work the other day, about a week ago, and they have a GoFundMe running for him because he's living on his own and was paying bills, working on his own, and he's not going to be able to work for a while. So there's a GoFundMe that's linked in the description, so you guys can go there and actually, potentially donate some to him just to help. It would be greatly appreciated. There's also a link to the K2 News article about it so that you guys can read a little bit more details about it if you're interested. I'm not going to say anything that news hasn't said directly, anything that I personally know, but I just want to say anybody that potentially donates, we greatly appreciate it. All right. So anyway, moving on. Let's see. We have. Do we have any comments? No, we're good. All right. Let's move on. So, moving on to Android getting DNS over TLS support.
Yeah. So this is essentially DNS queries are going to be encrypted at the same level as HTTPS.
Okay.
Is really what this does. So currently, when you go to check, like when you go to pull up a website, the domain name goes through a DNS to get the actual IP address, blah, blah, blah. Your ISP can see that information, so they can see the name of every website that you try and pull up. When they do this on Android, this will stop that kind of. It's not like a major security improvement. It's not hiding all of what you do like a VPN would, because they can still obviously see what IP address the data is being sent to your place from. However, one of the big things is that this will prevent ISPs from hijacking DNS queries, which does sometimes happen.
Which, in fact, that's a little bit of a problem right now, is people being able to do man-in-the-middle attacks where they pretend to be the DNS server. This could potentially help with that, with the encrypted. Like, they can't necessarily see what site you're going to try and spoof that and inject malware. So that is potentially really useful. Good. Yeah. Not a huge deal, not like a major thing, but definitely good.
Yeah,
it's something it's good to see.
It's a nice security feature. The DNS will also have to support this, so if you use Google's DNS server like I do, then you'll be fine.
Right.
So
it's good. Yeah, I use Google's DNS for everything as well myself. So I have their DNS server addresses memorized. All right. So anyway, ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, we're good. All right, so PCI Express 4.0 and 5.0 news. So, could you guys... All right, I want to give a little bit of background here. PCI Express 1.0 versus 2.0. 2.0 was double the bandwidth, okay? 3.0 was double the bandwidth of 2.0. What do you guys think 4.0 is per lane? Double the bandwidth.
200 times the bandwidth?
200 times the bandwidth, right? So double the bandwidth. So, it's cool to see consistent bandwidth increases, though.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm complaining. It's just, like, it's actually kind of nice to just know that each iteration is going to be double the previous iteration. Appreciate that. So in 2017, PCIe 4. Go ahead. Yeah. You know a little more about this than me, actually. So,
so really all it is, so the organization that creates PCI Express specifications released the actual specs for 4.0, which includes the 2x transfer rate. It also includes extended tags and credits for certain service devices, reduced latency, which is important, improved I/O virtualization, and a bunch of other stuff that nobody really cares about. So
it's cool. It's exciting, in my opinion.
I feel like the double the bandwidth is going to be more important for keeping lane usage down than anything else.
Exactly. As expansion grows, if you're going to be able to, and right now you can in a lot of boards set the bandwidth of PCI lanes in specific, set how many lanes can go to them, so to speak. So it would allow you to potentially, still do dual GPUs running on like X4 or really high-end GPUs running on X8 if that's necessary, right? Which really isn't yet. And then you still have space for more M.2 NVMe SSDs, maybe more 10 gigabit ports, or maybe you have a really high-end workstation card that needs higher bandwidth than your gaming card, for example, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see. And in 2019, we're supposed to have PCIe 5, which is going to be double the bandwidth of PCIe 4.
Yeah. So just thinking about that, though, so between now and if they release it on time, 2019, we could start seeing NVMe drives that go from X4 lanes to 1 lane.
Yeah, exactly. Which actually, though, drives are going to increase in performance, so we might stay on X4. In fact, there are some drives out there like the 960 Pro from Samsung that are getting close to what PCIe 3.0 X4 can provide, because that's a gigabit in each direction per lane, and so you're looking at 4 or gigabytes, not gigabit. You're looking at 4 gigabytes per second transfer rates, and they're hitting in the mid threes on like reads and stuff like that when it comes to sequentials. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see them stay on 4.0.
Yeah.
Or sorry, stay on 4 lanes for 4.0, but we just see even more speed increases. Although it's almost like right now, what would the benefit of that be for even 4K editing, and maybe if you're doing 8K stuff, But
yeah, and they're saying that numerous vendors have already confirmed with this tech in their silicon. Major IP vendors are offering controllers already. Dozens of PCI 4 solutions were at a recent compliance workshop. So this is already like well underway.
Yeah. What's the latency difference? Joe's asking. What kind of latency difference are we actually talking here?
Let me try and find it.
It's somewhere in there, we promise. And we still got plenty of time to cover our next important topic and our important food topic of the week.
Oh, God.
I will turn the camera off.
No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to turn off the camera. We have a food topic. It's what we do. You're not going to do that, Calvin, or you are not coming to WordCast again, buddy.
This article does not specify the latency difference.
They just say it's lower latency? Okay. Well, don't know how much lower, but probably not enough that you'll notice directly, because when it comes to latency of PCIe devices, they're not an issue.
It'll be
the issue
more
is input
important
latency.
For like AI.
Yeah, with server stuff, AI stuff, maybe some storage if you're using PCIe-based storage, right? But it's not going to be enough to be very noticeable, I wouldn't imagine. It's probably just primarily difference is just going to be good for servers and stuff like that. So, yeah. All right. So, next topic. This one's interesting. I opened up an article about it.
I have actually like bullet points already for it, pretty much.
Okay.
So,
go ahead and talk about it. I want to touch on a few things too.
Yeah. So pretty much, Seagate suddenly claimed that Hammer is almost ready.
Wrong. Seagate said that Hammer was ready 6 months ago.
Okay, but it was.
And they've had it working in drives for a couple of years, just not ones that they could sell.
Okay.
But
well,
just wanted to point that out.
They suddenly come out with new news.
They're almost like just reiterating, because they did say some of this stuff previously. But go ahead.
But they're saying that the 20 plus terabytes are now ready.
Right. Yes.
So they have 40,000 experimental drives already produced, and so they've been testing those. The pilot production is expected to be late 2018. Essentially, just
people might not know what Hammer is. Let's. I'm gonna preface with that really quick before we.
Okay, I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Right. No, really quick. So heat assisted magnetic recording is what it stands for. Basically, Seagate is using lasers to allow them to write on a smaller portion of a hard drive platter.
And the platters are made from glass.
Yes, which is common in laptops already. So that's a. But anyway, it allows them to write the grain size, which is the physical size of like a bit, which is either a 1 or a 0, depending on which polarity it's been flopped to. They superheat a very, very, very small area for 1 bit, and they're able to swap that bit. So that's how Hammer works. Go ahead and continue. I just want people to know it allows greater capacity hard drives.
Yeah. So they're expecting to hit 40 terabyte by 2023, which is 2 years earlier than Mammer.
Yes.
So,
which I'll explain Mammer in a second in a little bit more detail. I learned more about it.
And then the whole drive is expected to consume 8 watts of power.
Yep. So you may think, how does a laser, what kind of negative effects come from that? And there are some. So slight power consumption increase, not really enough to matter though. Maybe in a data center could maybe matter.
Yeah.
But the other thing is it introduces heat to the platter, right? So the more consistent sequential writes that you do to it, the hotter the temperatures could get in there. And it's, they're heating the platter to like a couple hundred degrees Celsius, like 600 to 700 degrees Celsius, in order to allow this to happen. And this allows them to flip the magnetic polarity and use less energy to do so, because right now, once you get down to a certain size, it takes so much energy that they can't really they can't get it through such a small write and read head in order to actually permanently change the magnetic polarity of a single grain or bit on the platter. And so what this allows them to do is change that, but it introduces heat. Now, that heat I don't think is very residual on the drive necessarily, but it's just a matter of, do the materials, are they going to be able to survive for a long period of time with that kind of heat being introduced? I'd imagine so, because it's on such a small scale where the heat is actually being applied to, and then it's able to cool back down to regular temperature probably almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned about that. The thing about Hammer, the question I have, so Western Digital announced a technology called MAMR, M-A-M-R, recently, that stands for Microwave Assisted Magnetic Recording. Very simple way of explaining that is there's a microwave transmitter in the 20 to 40 gigahertz range inside the right head that's right above the platter, and they apply that to a small area that, in a sense, takes, like, say you have north-south magnetic polarities, it tilts them so that it's easier to flip them towards one direction.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So that it's easier for it to flip it one way or the other by using the same amount of energy, so it's physically capable. My thought is, and there doesn't seem to be much data on this yet, my thought is Hammer can scale higher than MAMR.
We'll see.
Now, we'll see, but the reasoning for that is you can only get so much assistance from just tipping those. Whereas what Hammer's doing is changing the fundamental property for a moment, for the right, of how the material operates.
I don't think, even if that is the case, it will matter, because Seagate's not planning on sticking with Hammer for more than a few years after they hit 40 terabyte. They're looking at moving into heated dot magnetic recording.
Right, which is
a combination of Hammer and other tech.
Yes, it's different, but it's still going to be using the similar heat treated. And the reason I say that is, as you raise the temperature of these materials up to really, really hot temperatures, like I said, a couple hundred degrees Celsius, it makes it easier. As you go up, it's easier to change that magnetic polarity with the same amount of energy.
Yeah.
And so, in theory, I would imagine that you could go infinitesimally small as long as you can get the laser small enough to potentially increase, platter density higher. Like MAMR might cap out at like 40 terabytes or 30 terabytes, whereas like Hammer might cap out at more like 100 to 150 terabytes. Have been talked about being theoretically possible, never tested, of course. But so we'll have to see where it goes.
The short term, and by short term I mean 6 years, like when both of these are at their peak.
Yeah.
We're probably looking at the biggest difference. I think that Hammer is going to do better in data center, whereas I think that MAMR is going to be a bit more popular for like the home storage, home server market, because MAMR is probably going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big deal.
I think that's very true. That's the biggest thing about MAMR.
Yeah.
You literally just add a little microwave transmitter in there, and nothing else changes. You just have higher, better areal density on the platter.
Yep.
And so that is, I think Hammer is a better long-term solution. I think MAMR is a better short-term solution. MAMR makes more sense for cheaper drives and for now. But I think the idea behind heat-assisted magnetic recording or heat dot magnetic recording, as you mentioned there, is more scalable into the future. And so I think Seagate is playing the long game with this. Let's just hope that MAMR isn't so good that it drives them out before they can push it to being potentially better.
Also, while I don't think that this will matter based off of the amount of data that Hammer can write, because like in this case they're saying 2 petabytes is how long the head survived.
That's one of the problems too. Yeah, there's a lot of heat on the head. Yeah,
MAMR is expected to have as much as 100 times the write capacity before it fails.
Yeah, and that's one thing is we're actually going to have to start paying attention.
So it depends on which what is needed as to which drive will be better.
Right, exactly. And when it comes to drives now, the limitation where they start to go out tends to be the motor for either the movement of the head or the spinning of the platters.
Yeah.
Not generally much else. But we're going to be running into territory now, like we did with SSDs for a while, where it was like we have to actually physically worry about the amount of writes and keep track of that because the head might break.
Yeah.
Or the potential materials inside might break. Now, I'm assuming since Seagate has been working on this for so long and has continued to push that the residual heat buildup over time, with like long-term consistent writing, probably isn't an issue. That's my assumption.
Yeah, they said that they don't have a need for wear leveling as well, which is a big deal. People thought they were going to need that, which would
wear level,
add to the cost.
No.
So,
So no, I think Seagate and WD are battling it out here, and this is going to be a really interesting fight when we start to see stuff like this. I think hammer drives will be out first, but I think when hammer drives come out, they're going to be higher capacity than the first hammer drives were. Now, I think hammer will probably be caught up, so to speak, so that when hammer releases, there'll probably be hammer drives at the same capacity rating.
Yeah.
But it's the initial launch that says something.
Yeah. And what's going to be interesting is
price.
to see, assuming that we don't have more flash storage price issues, where lower quality or just general lower cost SSDs are as far as a capacity for the dollar.
Yeah.
Because if we're seeing at the scale that we've seen them increase, if we end up seeing 20 terabyte SSDs and we see fairly expensive 20 terabyte hard drives, who knows in 6 years where the market could be as far as cost.
Yeah, exactly.
It might not be even worth going with the hard drive. You might want to just spend the little bit extra on the SSD.
It just depends. It depends on how this scales.
Yeah.
I think Mammer is going to have a lot of scalability there. Hammer might not. I don't know. It does depend, right? Because, I mean, if we can see in a couple of years, we can see 40 terabyte drives. If these companies push harder.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Say by 2021 or 2022 we see like 40 terabytes, like that's going to be scaling above SSDs. I think still at that point.
Yeah.
And that's just flash is expensive. Now the eventual super long-term future is probably going to be flash, but we don't know for sure because newer tech like this when it comes to magnetic recording keeps coming out, and WD has said that I think another decade is their estimate of at least another decade of hard drives being relevant.
Yeah, because I mean we're looking at between now and where HMD or HDMR is supposed to be at, we're looking at nearly a 10x increase in density.
Yeah.
So
estimated.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, so our last important topic. The food question of the week. So my buddy Felipe comes on here every week and asks us an important, controversial food question that we have to argue about. Sometimes we argue about it way too early because we don't have enough topics. Sometimes it's right now. So this time it's right now. So Calvin, you can join in on this if you want to.
No.
Calvin says no. Ham or turkey?
Turkey.
Ham.
Okay.
What's wrong with you?
I just prefer turkey.
Turkey's so dry. Even if you drench it in gravy, it still like clogs your throat.
No.
You're supposed to argue about this. Come on.
I don't really disagree. I just prefer the taste of turkey.
But you see, ham tastes better too. It's sweeter.
It's your opinion.
I don't care what my opinion is. My opinion's right.
Oh yeah? Well, go ahead and make a ham burger.
That's not a bad idea.
Because turkey burgers are bomb.
Actually, I don't like turkey burgers.
Yeah, but you don't like turkey.
Well, I mean, you don't like turkey either.
Yes, I do.
No, you just said ham's better.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I
you did.
literally
You
just
just
had the
told
turkey
me that
burger.
ham is better.
I had turkey yesterday.
Guys, he said ham's better, right? Let's see what the chat says.
Actually, I said hamburger.
Let's see what the chat says. Let's see, guys. Did Daniel say that ham's better, or did he say that turkey's better? I'm pretty sure he said that ham's better.
He said turkey, he said ham.
Shh. Well, let's see. We're seeing what the chat
Oh, first
thinks,
comment
Calvin.
says turkey.
No, I'm pretty sure it says ham.
Huh? No, it says turkey.
It says
On
ham.
my screen, it says turkey.
Joe says ham.
I don't care. That's his opinion for what he thinks is better.
No. That's Joe saying that you like ham.
No, actually, he just said ham.
That's
For all we know, he could
you
be
like
saying
ham.
He could be saying ham is worst. is the worst.
Mirko, don't actually be helpful and tell him that turkey's better. These arguments need to be better. Like, the Cheetos one was better. We need to have arguments about this stuff. This is an important few minutes here that we have to talk about food.
Not really.
Why not really? It's like our tradition now. It's been like 10 or 15 episodes in a row.
Okay.
Your math is wrong. It's been like 4.
So, this is important. See, Joe says you said ham. I told you, you said ham.
Yeah, well, how about we go back
Ham
and watch
wins.
the video?
Ham wins. No, we're not going to watch the video. That's
'Cause you
we
know
don't
I'm
need
right.
that kind of proof.
Bob's Burger would be an appropriate name for SpongeBob SquarePants.
I saw that.
Uh-huh.
He said that Bob's Burgers would also be an appropriate title for SpongeBob SquarePants, which is not wrong.
Not wrong at all. Not wrong at all. All right, guys, that's pretty much the end of the podcast there. I wanted to go ahead and do one last mention of my friend Chris. I talked about him several times here. He was hit by a drunk driver walking to work. All the details are in the description here. You can donate to his GoFundMe. There's also a news article there, so you guys can read up on more details of what's publicly available about that. But anything that you guys donate potentially to him to help him is just greatly appreciated. You know, like I said, he's living on his own, and it's been a pretty tough year for him. And so anything you guys can do to help would be great. Again, dedicated video will be coming out on that to try and reach out to more people. But anyway, that's pretty much the end of the podcast. We'll end a few minutes early here. Thank you everybody for joining in. Lots of good stuff. Be ready for content on my 16-core 1950X Threadripper. And you can't see it anymore, but my giant case that I showed off at the beginning here. Really excited to be doing a build with this. A couple weeks I'll have the build together and be able to do benchmarks and stuff for you guys. But I'll be doing a video on the case probably sooner than that. Anyway, I'm Ethan from WordTech. And we're done with our podcast. Thanks for joining WordCast, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. And follow all the links in the description going to like our news articles on our site and forums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, cool.